Welcome to another show, the Beyond Sets and Reps podcast. I'm excited. I'm excited for this one. This one right here goes back. We go way back. We go back like, man, Cadillac seats. Man, we go way back. So this guy,
Hey,
Patrick Sapp, this is my guy, man. This is my guy. I'm gonna give you a quick intro. When I first entered the NFL, we both were rookies with the San Diego Chargers. Pat was a second round draft pick. I'll let him tell you about his background and former Clemson football player. And we became really good friends. It wasn't just because we had the same first name, but the circumstances just lined up for us to take care of each other. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Patrick Sapp.
hey, brother. Man, I've been looking forward to this too, brother. So I'm glad to for you to have me on. It's an honor. I watched some of your previous shows. I think you do an excellent job and all the things that you're doing. But proud of you, brother, man. And I'm just telling you to see you come in as both rookies, living together and of the world and in the world at that time. I'll just say it in those terms. We had fun during that time, but
Yep.
like you said, it's a lot of people on the team. I think we gravitated to each other, man, because both good people. We both had a passion for life and impact, and so sharing in that aspect of things, but also being rookies together on that journey of both of our childhood dreams, man, has been awesome. But it's been awesome to see you become a doctor, dude. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
You know,
and
man.
and to reach where you at. And so, man, I appreciate you sharing this time and having me on.
Well, I'm equally as proud of you. I think just to give a little bit of background, um, I was an undrafted free agent. You were a second round draft pick, and we're both trying to fight to make the team because that's the reality of it. You no matter where you get drafted, you still got to fight because you got to take somebody's job.
Yes.
And in my journey, I found myself being uh, cut and then spending 1 week with the Detroit Lions. And then, I had a good game and they wanted to sign me to practice squad, but the Chargers wanted to sign me to the practice squad. And I thought I had spent so much time and I invested so much. And really just the group of guys in that locker room, you and many others, I just thought, man, I just want to go. And I was from Detroit, so it was I was ready for going out to California and enjoying something different and trying a different challenge. But when I got back to San Diego, I just remember you graciously extending. You had just gotten a place to stay, nice place, La Jolla, California, right? Really nice. And I didn't have a car. And you say, hey man, I got an extra car. And that Jeep, uh, you gave me
Yeah.
the keys to it, gave me the keys to the house. And for me, man, I never forget people that do things like that for me. We knew each other. We didn't even know each other that well, and but it said a lot about who you were, the character and the integrity. And a lot of times you don't hear that about professional players. Like, really? You like a good person, high character, integrity? Like you did what you said you was gonna do. You followed through, man. So I'm eternally grateful for that.
Well, man, it's funny you share that, Pat, because being drafted where I was and going out there, junior say I was that way for me. Even though we was rookies, but I went out early, after you do all the draft stuff and he became a guy I worked out with in the off season. I remember when I didn't have a car yet, when I was out there, and he gave me the keys to his Jeep,
Wow.
literally, and say, "Hey, man, till you get your car out here, man, you can drive this." He showed me where everything was around San Diego, And he just kind of took me under his wing. And so the leadership on that team, I think, was awesome. But man, it was a no-brainer to call you a friend and to help you in any way that I could, because heck, I was like, man, this dude can play some football. So for me, it was like, this is a temporary thing. He gonna be on this squad. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm glad I was able to do that.
Yeah, yeah, that was fantastic. I still think about that to this day, and that was, that's a few decades ago.
Man, don't say it like that. Golly. It's the truth though, but
That was
God,
a few,
man.
few decades ago. So something that I was always impressed by you. So going back to so you're from Florida, Jacksonville, Florida. If now this is off of memory, Rains High School, right?
Yep.
All right. So
Thanks,
Rains High School, Jacksonville, Florida, and then you get recruited, I'm sure, by a lot of schools. You were a quarterback and
Yep.
you went and played at Clemson. You were a starter at
Yep.
quarterback. And then I believe this is from memory. Before your senior year, you switched positions. And then
Yes, I
you
moved to linebacker.
went to linebacker.
Yeah.
So here you are at Clemson, starting quarterback, and you decide, I don't know what went into that, but I would love to hear that part of the story. And you're going to switch positions, move to linebacker, and then get drafted in the second round. Like, make that make sense.
Man, a lot of people ask me that question, Pat, but yeah, man, I was a highly recruited quarterback, went to Clemson, started my true freshman year, halfway in the season, started my sophomore year, man, and for the first time in my life, I got benched in the middle of my sophomore season at quarterback, right? Went through a lot of stuff. Some of it's my fault, some of it wasn't. But, a quarterback, you take it under the chin. It's my fault. I got to get better. Man, I won my job back my sophomore year in a bowl game against Kentucky. Took us down through the winning touchdown. Went into the spring, competed, was a starter going into my junior season at quarterback. Got halfway in the season my junior year, I got benched again. And by that time, 3 offensive coordinators in 3 years, I
Mm.
was sick of quarterback, man. I was absolutely sick of the position. And I was never a normal quarterback because I love contact, and I just kind of sat around and I moved on my own. I asked the coach, could I move? Of course. But it wasn't something they brought to me. I went to them and said, hey, coach, listen, it's time for me to be selfish. Man, I want to move to linebacker. And head coach at the time, Tommy West, really fought me with the idea of moving positions. He was like, Patrick, you're gonna play at quarterback, man. You both of you guys are gonna play. I'm like, look, I'm tired of getting hit. It's time for me to hit somebody. I want to play with some passion. And so we kind of went around, Pat, literally, man, for a couple of hours, just arguing. I'm arguing my point why I should move. He's arguing his point why I should not move. And finally, he just said, "Do you trust me?" And he was like, and I told him yes, and he allowed me. He said, "The first day of spring practice, I am going to watch you at linebacker, and I'll make the decision after the first day." And he said, "Do you trust me?" I said, "Yep." Man, as soon as practice was over, came up to me, said, "You starting at outside linebacker." And I literally just, I talk to young folks a lot. With what we do is share our stories, and I've always said, man, I've always had a knack of having a plan and being able to execute it, but also make that plan in real time. And I just set daily goals, weekly goals, and I just worked at it, man. And it worked out. Second round draft pick. The last time I played defense prior to that was junior high school. I didn't even play defense in high school.
Wow.
But a lot of anger and frustration. And for the first time at linebacker, man, I was able to play with passion. Quarterback, you got to be so cerebral. You can't show too much emotion. You throw a pick, you got to stay calm. You throw a touchdown, you got to stay calm. And so I was ready to cut loose and play some football with some emotion.
Mm. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's, I mean, at the highest levels possible, making difficult decisions that's going to have ripple effects for years to come. Like
Yep.
the amount of insight and trust and that goes in, I mean, that's a lot of maturity.
Yeah, man. And for me, it was, we're both parents, and I had great parents, and I've always equated to why was I able to truly believe this. And I try to raise my kids to being a therapist now and doing, family counseling. I talk a lot about instilling the belief into your children that they truly and they are talented enough and smart enough to be whomever and whatever they want to be. And I had that. I don't know where I got it from. I got to assume my parents, but as a young person, I've never feared taking on a challenge. Dreaming of, I wanted to do acting for a while, and I did acting for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And just saying, hey, if I want to, I'm interested in this, man, I'm gonna go do that. And moving positions in my mind at the time, I say, hey, man, I know I can do it as long as I understand what it takes, then hell, go after it.
Mm.
And so I try to instill that into my own children and also into a lot of the young folks that I talk to is establish that you gotta have that within because it takes the fear away, it takes the limitations away. And as you know, being the guy that you are, man, fear controls a lot of our actions and inactions, right? And so if you can eliminate that, you can do a lot of great things.
Yeah. I've seen you, I've met several of your family, brothers, sisters, uh,
Yeah.
and we go back to, you know, you came from a really, really good family. And I remember your sister almost being like a mother figure. She was just
Yeah,
a
man.
strong, strong presence. And I could just tell she was not going to let you go off and make the wrong decisions.
Yeah, that we're really close, man. Six of us. I'm the youngest of six. All the girls are older, so yeah, I've had three or four moms my whole life. And so we spend a lot of time, man. We get together, and family has always been important to me.
Yeah.
They are a huge part of my life and the success that I've been able to attain. And more importantly, man, I love to see my kids around them. Right,
Hmm.
my kids appreciate their aunties and uncles. So
Hmm.
I really enjoy that.
Yeah. That's good. I want to speed it up because you had a career, you spent some time with the Chargers. I remember coming out visiting you and hanging out when you were with the Cardinals. And
Hmm.
so you had a pretty good career. And I know everybody always wants a better career, but you had a pretty good career. And so when you were wrapping up your career, talk about that transition from being this player, trying to establish yourself on different uh, rosters
Right.
to coming to the realization that, okay, this is coming to an end.
Man, you make such a great point. Is hey, we think we all go play for 15 years and ride off in the sunset and on our own terms, but that very seldom happens for anybody in professional sports, more or less me. And I was with the Colts, man, the last time that I got cut, and I remember leaving there with in the mindset of, man, I have so much more I want to do, I have so much more I can do. I sat in a hotel, Pat, overnight, prayed, man, and I literally woke up the next day and say, man, let's go get it. Literally. And I never looked back after that point. And so I just connected back with the folks that was impactful in my life. A lot of that was Clemson people. And I reached back, man, and came back, finished my degree, and started doing development work. But I'll tell you is the mind is so strong and so important. And so I've never viewed myself as just a football player. If people want to introduce themselves or introduce me, I would always want them to just say my name and not Patrick Sapp that play for the Chargers or the Cardinals. And so I always looked at what we did as a job. And in doing so, it was like I left one job to another job. And that's the mindset that I had. And so I was just able to take that energy, that competitiveness and the drive and the teamwork aspect of it and put it into development.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go backwards just a little bit, back to when we were on the team together. A lot of guys on the team, I would hear them talk about you. You had some mysteriousness about you. Like you kept some things separate from what they knew you as a football player. I knew you to be an entrepreneur. I knew you to be someone who was fiscally responsible. I knew you to be someone that was very family oriented. So why was it important to you to keep things, maybe some things from your teammates and keep some things to yourself?
So I'll say it like this, man. That's a great question. Here's what you revealed in that question that you asked me. You knew that, but a lot of other people didn't. And so you were that kind of person that I viewed that way. And we had common interest in that. I knew you from during that time. Whatever Pat Ivey decided to do, the dude is a stand-up dude. He's a respectable dude, and he's a hard worker. And he's somebody that I know wants to leave a lasting impact in the world. So I shared those things with you, right? And so I think it's important for a lot of us to understand and truly how we're living our lives and who we're living our lives with. Even though they was my teammates, even though I considered some of them to be friends, but I also knew they were not in line with who I was, right? So the people who knew what I was doing and what I was about needed to know. You know what I'm saying? And you were a part of that group.
Yeah. So I mean we can mention the name Marco Coleman. What
Oh yeah.
comes to mind when I bring up that name?
Well, you know the nickname Doghead. Now we got to go with the nickname that he has first, right? But man, Marco was that vet that I know I looked up to. One of the coolest brothers, one of the smartest and hardworking football players that I've been around. Um, but he was like a big brother to me. I would say that because we would ride to practice together sometime, pick each other up. I'll drive 1 week, he drive 1 week. And just the nuances of how he became a Pro Bowl and how he carried his life and his work and his regiment. And I would say the one thing to me that come to mind is the word discipline. Like that dude stayed true to his craft. He understood why he was in the National Football League. He understood his talents and he protected that with the way that he worked and the things that and the way that and the way that he led his life.
Yeah.
So I would say discipline would be that one word.
Yeah. Another person you mentioned him earlier, and we had a chance to hang out quite a few times, but Junior Seau. What
Mm.
does he mean to you?
Man, he was there's a couple things. So Junior taught me how to be a pro. He taught me how to practice. I remember, we all run, you in 7-on-7 pass scale and they receiver catch the ball on the other side of the field. You turn and run about 10 yards and then cruise. Man, I remember the first practice, they threw a takeoff, a fly route on the opposite side of the field. That dude reversed and sprinted all the way down to where he caught the football at and jogged back. And he would do that every day and everything we did. I'm like, man, why are you doing that? He's like, well, in the game, I got to play that way. So if you don't prepare that way, you're not going to have enough in the tank to play like you should and how you want to play. And so he really taught me how to practice, and also how to understand the community and give an impact and how to be a part of a foundation and how to give back and how to work outside of football in service. And so I would think those things, I learned a lot from him in those ways.
Yeah, yeah, he's man. I think about him all the time. Anytime I can tell a story about what I learned from him, I mean, even his personal workouts were the most serious workouts I've ever been a part of. Like he would find you in his personal workout.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. And
If he thought you cut a corner, you didn't give the right effort, you got fined. Like, man, I could come out of here owing money.
that was him, man. I mean, and I worked out again. We worked out a lot in the off season, man. And he used to call me baby boy, but he really, I got so much stronger than that dude. And I realized, when you leave college, Pat,
Yeah.
working out is 2 hours, but he was so efficient with his workouts. Now you hit everything,
Mhm.
but we wasn't in there but an hour or less than an hour. But man, that hour workout, man, I'm telling you, it was treacherous. And so I learned a lot from him. Yeah, weightlifting and preparation was one thing, but just the mindset that dude had. I loved his energy, and it was infectious. And I hope, and I know I gained some of that from him.
Yeah. I remember one day you used to have gold teeth, right?
Yeah.
And no one ever saw anything but your gold teeth. And one day you're at the house and you were cleaning them, and I saw your teeth. I was like, man, your teeth are whiter than mine. I said, man, all right, man. This guy, man, I don't know who this guy is, man.
Hey, I'm a Florida boy, man. That's who I am. We have gold teeth in high school down there, so that's what I grew up in. I'm gonna share a quick story, really quick about that. What made me change. So again, I always wanted to influence young folks. So I thought in my crazy mind during that time, hey man, this is how you grew up. This is a part of your culture. If you continue to look the way you came up, that you can inspire other folks and other young folks that come from where you come from. So keep the gold teeth, keep that whole look. And man, I was single. I was single at this time, man, and I was in LA, and I was out at, I can't remember what award show we was at. Beautiful young lady wanted to talk to me, and she just kept staring at me, right? And finally, Pat, she comes up to me and she was like, I want to talk to you, but I just can't get over the gold teeth. And I was like, hold on, wait, I could take them out. Like, baby, please. She's like, no, I gotta go. I gotta go. Like, I can't get over the gold teeth. And man, that changed my perspective. So whoever that young lady is, I thank you for coming up to me saying that, because from that point on, I moved away from that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh
sir.
man, that's good, man. So let's go ahead and go back. I know we're going back and forth a little bit. So take me back to you made that decision. You were with the coach. You're like, I'm done with this. I'm ready to move on. And it was time to try what you went back to school. Then I know eventually it led to you working in development, but is there something in between when that happened?
Well, it was, man, I've always knew. So a couple of things drove me back to school. One, I only had a semester and a half to graduate before, I got drafted, and I had the foresight and the mind, Pat, to say, when I have kids, how am I ever going to tell them to graduate from college and I don't? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm a hypocrite, right? If I fortunate to have an athlete, to tell him not to be used by a university by going there and playing football and not getting your degree. So that drove me to get my degree. And in that intermediate process, I did some work with my agent. I had a great agent, Phil Williams, that was very frugal, taught me to, hey man, manage your money, take care of your money. And so I worked with him in his development of his agency. And that kind of started my really deep dive into business. I learned a lot in that process, how to market, how to create things, how to really engage companies and corporations and individuals. And that led into the development aspect of what I was doing in major gifts for Clemson. And man, I learned so much through that process, man. It was awesome, and which led me to, the business I am in now and what I have, but it has been a therapy business. But that journey really just started with seeking that opportunity to not be a hypocrite to the kids that I may have at some point during that time.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to get to what you're doing now, but I also know there was a another step in between because you and I had a chance to connect a few years ago. We had a football game down there in Clemson. You picked me up from the hotel, and I had a chance to walk with you through the pregame tailgating at Clemson, which is incredible. But the amount of people that know you was astounding. The amount of people that you have impacted, the amount of people that you can tell they want you to be around, and the different types of people that want you to be around was impressive. That was really impressive. I
I
mean, we
appreciate
walked up
that.
yeah, we were on the sidelines. We were up in the press box in the president's suite. I mean, you can just tell like Pat Sapp is here and everybody just wants to come up. They want to high five you, they want to hug you. Like that is earned. Like that's not given. That's earned. That's earned over time. So I definitely saw when you say you were in charge of major gifts. Explain what that is to people that may not know, like the fundraising and development.
Yeah, so the development work, every university has a development arm. And that development arm is truly charged with raising, funds for the university and athletics. So a lot of the names that people see on buildings and stadiums and department names are a lot of those folks have been engaged with somebody from development to ask for money to support the university. And some of those gifts that people give come with naming opportunities to name buildings. Some of those come with campaigns that a university may have over multiple years to reach a certain goal of support. And so that's what I did. Fortunately, I was a part of three campaigns over the years. $1 billion campaign, a $600 million campaign, and the West End Zone that we did at the football stadium that is currently there. And so through those opportunities, man, it was tremendous because you have to deal with a lot of different people from different backgrounds and different walks, but all love Clemson, and I had a good time doing it.
Yeah, that's outstanding. Some of the guys we played with when we would talk about, hey, catching up, what's Marco doing? What's Pat Sapp doing? What Pat, he's in charge of major gifts, fundraising for the entire university. What? Like, yeah, yeah. The skills it takes to call people, to help them to direct where they want their gifts to go, like that is not easy work because every word you say matters.
Oh yeah, and my goal was 1.1 million a year. And you're separating, these are wealthy people that, as you know, man, a ton of people and companies and foundations, these people for their fortunes, right? And support. And so you have to compete in that space. You have to be okay with being told no and not take it personal. You're probably gonna get 10 no's to one yes. You have to be okay with that and keep working. And sometimes you got to figure it out. You got to figure out the why for them, and what their passions are, and what their heartstrings are, and what type of legacy they might want to leave back. So it was a great learning tool to use today. But I made a lot of great friendships though, Pat, through that experience, man. People that the first time I met was about them supported Clemson, and now we golf together. Now we do different things, right? And so I really enjoyed that experience.
Yeah. So when you left development, then you went into a different industry, right? And you were still building relationships, but talk about that next opportunity.
Yeah, so I went in with a local development company here that we partner with Top Golf, and we start coming up with a entertainment concept with Hyatt and Top Golf for a hotel, an entertainment hotel brand that would sit under Hyatt. And so I ran that company from paper to a physical, actual hotel and a real business. And so I was charged with that. And a lot of that was over COVID, man. You know, we started right before COVID, and we was gonna be building our first one in COVID. But when COVID came back, we had to pivot, of course, because
Mhm.
hospitality was way down across the country. Um, but what it did, man, was a blessing in disguise for us because I never been in hospitality, and a lot of me being chosen to run the company was because I hadn't been in hospitality, and they wanted fresh eyes to develop a new concept. And so I had a lot of studying. I had a lot of stuff that I had to do to really come up with a good brand. And I did it, and it was going to be so much time after we became a business. You know, like, you know what? I've got us this far. It's time to kind of turn this thing over. And so that's what I did from that point. And during COVID, I kind of have an epiphany about life, man, just what a lot of stuff was going on. But that was also a great experience. So some great partnerships, man. You talk about Top Golf, and you talk about a Hyatt brand, and you talk about a hotel that brings swing suites into the hotel attached to Top Golf's rooftop bars and all that kind of stuff, man. It was fun helping to design and come up with those concepts.
Yeah, that's amazing, interesting. During this time, you and I were always staying in contact, always connecting with each other. So I knew what you were doing, but I also knew that you had a passion for something else. And what I was trying to do is build uh, a, a very good mental health, mental performance department at the University of Louisville. And you and I, we were in constant
Yes.
conversations about that and what that meant. And I knew that you were interested in that area as well. Uh, talk to me and tell the listeners, the viewers, you know, how you go from this football player to this person that is primarily asking people for money and and then trying to build a business from the ground up, bridging different business entities to then saying, well, yeah, I'm going to take all of that and channel it into helping people when it comes to their mental health.
Yeah, man, it kind of sounds like my football career, right? Again, it's that space of believing truly you can do what you want to do, man. And so I've always knew at the end of things that I wanted to be a therapist, and I wanted to have my own therapy business. Um, Even when I was playing football, even when I was doing development work, even when I was doing all these other things. But life has a way of kind of taking you on that roller coaster and do different things, right? But I knew ultimately I wanted to settle on mental health. COVID came, man, and it really changed the way that I looked at a lot of things because people were dying that I knew, you know, unexpectedly, younger than I thought, or should, I should say. And I just had a perspective. What am I waiting on? Like, what am I waiting on to really live what I'm passionate about? What am I waiting on to really walk into what I feel is God, one of God's purpose for me? And so I quit all of those things. Told the guys at the hotel business, we kind of to part ways with that aspect. I got it as far as I can get it. Um, and man, I went into mental health. That was my college education, psychology, and so I got my certifications, and me and a partner started an agency, and we branched off. I work with a lot of kids. I'm a licensed professional counselor, LPCA, and so I work majority, man, with young kids, meaning adolescents, teenagers, adults. But I would say my niche would be college to, adolescents and high school is what I really enjoy working with. And I work a lot with the schools here. I work with our juvenile justice center here. I run groups there. Our alternative school here, I run groups there. And I go into some of the charter schools, man, and see a lot of clients one-on-one in that space as well.
Do you have a team or staff, or is it a one-person show?
Yeah, so Universal Therapeutic Services was a company that we started with, and that was a company about 10 therapists and staff and brick and mortar. And then I run a private arm that I see clients through, men therapy group, is what I specifically see my clients through. And so from my end, it's a one man shop, and then from the company end, it's a bigger and a broader thing.
Yeah. So, what do you think people, where are people today, in your opinion, when it comes to this topic of mental health? Is it something, because we've heard about the stigma? Uh, um, are you finding that it's shifted since you started, or what are you seeing?
It has definitely shifted, Pat. I think, with anything, I think is, and I'm just gonna be straight like I always am. In some ways, it's the hot new thing, right? To where I think it's over diagnosing people, it's overused, it's overused as a crutch. And then the other side of it is definitely more awareness and acceptable to seek a therapist, or to seek and being your mental wellness. And I see more people doing it. And I think the biggest thing that I'm happy about, I am seeing more men and boys deal with their mental health than say in the last 5 years than I've ever seen. And I think that is the huge plus around it, is that I think we struggle the most just because societal norms are you don't share as men, you don't cry as men, you don't show your emotions as a man, and so we suffer. I know a lot more than our than the women do, and so I'm glad to see us seeking more help in that space.
So, what is the tie between mental health and sports? So, as you go back and look at your career, what and you look at some yourself, some of your teammates, what are some trends as you now have been educated on mental health? What are some things as you look back and they stand out to you?
Man, I would say if you don't have good mental wellness, being a professional athlete or reaching a high level of athletics is going to be tough to do. And if you do reach it, tougher to maintain, because it's so much about your mental fortitude and mental wellness to be able to deal with defeat, to be able to deal with failure, to be able to deal with things that happen to you that are unjust. All those things that we call normal life is magnified when it comes to sports, definitely at a pro level, right? Times 10. How you live your life, the choices you live, everything is magnified. And so if your mental health is not there, the guys that I know now, as I look back, that struggled in that space, man, these were the guys that were blowing their money, spending their money like crazy on crazy things, the living the lifestyle that was not in line with their gifts and what they was trying to become and do. Having goals and dreams that was unrealistic with the work that it took to be there. You know, all those things was off rail. Trying to have a family, but can't handle that responsibility of being a husband, you know, or a father in that sense. All those guys I look back now, all were not mentally well. And so the uncommon thing I would say is just the wrong choice of people and the wrong choices was that common thing that I saw with guys that suffered and had those issues.
Yeah. And we talk about our friend Junior. When it comes to so the mental performance, the sports psychology, the mental toughness, the discipline, like you not gonna find better examples. I watched him. I used to watch him on at practice, be joking and laughing on the sideline, and as soon as he buckled, snapped that chin strap, he went somewhere else. And I remember that first mini camp, watching him do that, and I was like, I don't know how, but I got to get some of that. I got to
Right.
figure some of that out because that's what it's going to take to make this team. Like I got to figure out how to turn it on and turn it off. Like for me, I was like, it's practice. I got to be on. I'm locked in, and just the energy is just in it at focus. Everything is going down. So for someone like him, from a mental toughness standpoint, you're not going to find anything better. But we know how his life ended as well. So we got to have it's like you got to have the weight room and the training room in case you get injured. But the same thing on the mental side. You got to have the mental strength, but you also got to be able to balance the staying mentally healthy. So, what do you think about that?
Nah, you're dead on. And even as a therapist, you know, I have a supervisor or a mentor that I have to share in my own mental health, and I understand it better than most, right? And as a truly, I consider myself to have been a good friend of Junior's. Um, I never saw it because he never shared it. Even though me and him one-on-one time, riding in the car, hanging out, working out, playing golf, he presented as everything was always good and golden, which in reality, none of us live that way. That is not a true emotion and state of any of us. The sadness is a normal emotion. Anger is a normal emotion. Anxiety is a normal emotion. Depression is a normal emotion. Now, staying in a long state, an onset depression is different, but you are going to go through those. And when someone never displays it, them the ones that are screaming the loudest, right? And I know we've had this in our families because I know how we are going to the doctor. Somebody suddenly dies prematurely. And the first thing we say, man, he was so healthy. He never went to the doctor. And it's
Mhm.
like, there you go. He never went to the doctor. So, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
because he didn't, he was healthy.
yeah,
The whole time he wasn't. And so Junior always displayed happiness and things are everything's fine, Pat, and everything's good, baby boy. We good to go. Da 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 da. And as I look back, because the first thing I said, Pat, was, man, I never saw that as
hmm,
close as we were.
right,
But then I realized that's why I never saw it. He hid it. He never
hmm,
expressed. He didn't share. He
yeah,
didn't talk what he was feeling. And so that's something that as we close and as we work with young people like yourself and around folks, let's pay attention to those ones that always present to be good and perfect. Just ask, are you okay? How are things going? Have those soft conversations.
As you talk about the young people and mentoring and helping someone out, I'm gonna bring up a name because I got his name from you, and I've already had him on this podcast. Rashard Hall. He did a
Man,
phenomenal job. Talk to me about Rashard Hall.
man, that's an awesome young man, man. It's man, we getting old, Pat. You said it earlier, but man, I saw Rashard coming to Clemson because again, I was working doing development, doing the broadcast for the games. And so, being a Florida kid himself, I just got to see and had interest in this young man, as a freshman and watching him play early. But then, man, just the man that he became at Clemson and the work that he's doing and if he gives you his word, man, he's holding it. If he talks about things, he's gonna do it. And man, I'm just so proud of that dude. I'm telling you, he is one of my favorites. I know Clemson wasn't gonna be able to keep him because he have too much to give to the world to stay
Mhm.
at little old Clemson. And so, man, I love that dude, and I'm proud of him. I'm glad you guys connected, man. I wanted him to connect with you. I told him about you, and so I'm glad y'all was able to connect.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's what it's all about. It's about relationships and trying to help somebody else. As you, as we've been on this earth for quite a while now. Still got a ways to go.
Oh yeah, yes,
What
sir.
what are some things? Yeah, what are some things that you're thinking about the future, like where you want to go, and maybe how take us behind the veil a little bit and let us know how you go about setting those goals and to get there.
Man, I try to always say that I'm forward thinking, right? And so I look at the world as where I'm at today, but I also look at what's truly down the road for me in 10 years, 15 years. Where do I want this company to go? Where do I want my impact? And I learned my passion a long time ago is, man, I love to help people. I love for folks for me to help people turn that light bulb and the light switch on. I love to be able to give and help folks figure things out about who they are and what their purpose is, right? And I love asking young men the question who are you? Right. And then they may not know how to answer that today, but by the time, hopefully, as I work with them, man, they're able to say that thing with their full chest about who they are. Right. And so that's my passion. Man, I want to take what I'm doing nationwide. I'm working on a couple of therapies surrounding uh, farming and harvesting for drug recovery and how that simulates. I'm working on that currently. And also, I'm working with prevention. Rise Prevention is a company that I'm doing some work with, and we're in a lot of the schools about really vaping and opioids and all of those things that lead to those other bad decisions. How do we put a
Mhm.
comprehensive thing together to that does not say no to drugs, but it encompasses the spirit, it encompasses your mental wellness as well as the education aspect of what drugs do to you. So I'm working with that, and man, I hopefully we can be in every school across the country. And I think as far as my personal goal in the near future, I want to work more one-on-one with college athletes. Like that's a space I want to go into personally. I think I have a lot to offer there in that space, and especially with navigating the portal and those decisions for young folks, right?
Mhm.
How long, just the simple question of, do I go to school and compete or do I not compete, right? If I got a red shirt, is that a bad thing or good thing? Like, how do we internalize those choices now? Is leaving a school and going somewhere else for another $50,000 worth what that truly means?
Mhm.
So I want to work in that space to help young folks navigate those truly life changing decisions. and having a mindset to understand that competition is healthy, competition is growth. Um, Taking those lumps and those bumps is really a part of our education and makes us the men and the women that we are. So I want to dial into that space on a personal level.
So I'm gonna tie something else in that I know about you into this conversation. What do you think? What can you grab as you look back to apply to what your life is doing and what you're trying to do? What can you gather from Bob Marley?
Man, that's the heartbeat, man. That's the heartbeat. So here's why I love reggae music, as you know, Pat, and Bob Marley is definitely my favorite artist of any genre of music, and especially reggae. Um, but I look at this quote unquote little old guy from Jamaica, and the inspiration and the impact that he's had around the world. So just metaphorically for me, that gives me kind of that breath that, dude, that's the impact that I want to make. And I ain't talking about as only the time that he was living or the time that he was being played on the radio, but his music is still impacting the world currently. And this dude has been, he's been gone since 81, right? And so with the mindset and the mental health, if you listen to a lot of his lyrics, that's what it's about. It's about controlling this and knowing that part of you and having a spiritual base to everything that you do. And if you can think and lead with your spiritual base, most of the time you go get it right. So yeah, that's my man right there,
All
Bob.
right, I got a couple other names because you were the person that inspired me to really dive into reggae, and man, I still listen to it today. But Buju Banton, what do you learn from the works of Buju Banton that you apply to life?
Well, so I'll say it like this now. Dance hall is a little different. So that's truly the entertainment and the soul of the reggae drum and beat. But that's probably my second favorite artist, reggae artist, man, just because that dude has just got a soulful, deep voice. And he kind of, I kind of saw him, kind of become and change throughout his life. He wasn't a Rastafari in the early in his career. It was like, truly like being Tupac in reggae music. And then you see this guy transform into a Rastafari, and then he started to follow more of the love music, more of the spiritual awareness and how you live your spirit with strength and conviction and all of those things, and being able to take that into any environment that you're in. So that's what Buju mean to me.
All right, I got two more. Two more. Shabba Ranks.
Shabba Ranks is, again, I'm a equivocize everything to probably American music. So Shabba is probably like the Run DMC of dance hall. He was kind of that first guy that took dance hall internationally, right? Dance hall has been in Jamaica a long time, but as far as Americanizing it and giving it a flavor for the American ear, he was that first guy.
All right. Capleton.
Capleton. All right. Capleton is kind of that mix of that soulfulness, dance hall raw and rough, and then the soldier. Like he has a mixture of being militant and soldier to him that I've always admired about Capleton. So he's probably Jamaica's KRS-One or somebody like that. He would be that equivalent of that in the right time frame as well as the music that he represented.
and your favorite female reggae artist. Who's that?
Oh man, I would say probably Sister Nancy. With the song
No, no,
"Sorry"
no.
and all that, and "No, No, No." Yeah, I would say she's probably my favorite. Now, she's a lot of young folks ain't gonna know who she is, but you and I know who Sister Nancy is, and I'm sure they've heard her song, but probably didn't know. That song is probably about 40 years old. So,
Mhm.
Sister Nancy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hey, I appreciate it. I wanted to show the well-roundedness of Patrick Sapp, and I think we got to it, man. We got to hear, the one thing that you didn't pull out for me was the Florida the Florida language, the lingo, where you can barely understand what you're talking about.
Hey
And
man, we on the podcast. I gotta take that out a little bit, right? I gotta enunciate more on this show, man. But now one on one on the phone, you go get all of that now.
Oh, I never forget trying to. You was asking me for a fork, and I was in the kitchen. I couldn't understand what you were saying. It's like, man, next thing I was standing right next to you. What are you saying? You say, man, a fork. Like, well, I'm standing here, man. You got to go back and get your own fork.
Uh,
And but I remember catching you one time. You were talking to your finance people. I was like, who is this? Well, it's a stranger in the house speaking English.
uh,
Come
hey,
around the corner. I looked at you. I was like, man, I understand what you're saying. So, man,
you got
we
hey,
had a good time. We had a
you
good
got to
time.
have layers to it, man. Now
Yeah.
I'm gonna bust you out for a minute. I gotta tell
Oh,
everybody
hey, I think we need to
what's
end this
what's your
podcast.
favorite movie?
Oh, Heat,
So that
man.
folks can know you.
Heat, Heat, man. Heat.
Okay, Heat. But what's your favorite
Oh,
scary movie? Psycho thriller.
what you-
Yes. Silence of the Lambs. You remember?
oh, man. Clarice. Oh, we used to watch that movie. Oh, man. we
That's when we both was in the mind right there, right? That was our psychology film in class was Silence of the Lambs and all of that stuff, man.
what did Mig say to you? Multiple Migs.
True, man. But man, Pat, I appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Keep doing that good work, dog. I mean,
Yeah, I
you're doing
appreciate
some
you too. I just want to make sure that people are inspired to build on those relationships they have with the right people, and because who knows, man, where this goes, this relationship goes in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and
right.
and how it comes back together and how we can continue to help people because ultimately at the end of the day I know that's what I'm about is helping people. That's what you're about. That's what drew us to each other. And man, I just appreciate your friendship and you being one of the most authentic people I've ever known.
Man, I appreciate that, man. And I know this is the week we play you guys up there,
Oh, yep.
and I'll be up there Thursday.
Oh, you coming? All right. All right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if you're
All
in
right.
town this weekend, let's get together.
All right. Sounds good. This podcast will drop after that. So the results, we might have to put the results up there. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Either way, we putting the results up there now. So if those Tigers win, we need the results. All right.
Oh, but hey, take care, man. I appreciate you so much, man.
All right. Appreciate you.